In the middle of Inferno, this corner will allow for players to remain hidden with a weapon length of up to that of the M4A1S, provided that they aim their crosshair directly at the edge of the corner. As an attacker, hugging the far wall will allow for you to see them before they see you, but your shadow will give you away. It seems as though shadow direction matters on Inferno. Jumping across to the other side, staring into the corner will make you invisible to those at the top of middle, but as you move down and to the right you'll see the back of the player stick out. This is only with CTs, mind. As we learned in the previous video on Inferno, terrorists have a smaller profile, making them hard to see, even from this sort of angle. If you're hidden in this corner and have the bomb, be sure to hold it or the flashing light and bulk of the device on your back will give you away. A quick recap on these positions: with the G3SG 1 or shorter you're concealed within this corner. At a push, the SSG-08 will also be hidden if you're looking into the wall a bit. Even this spot will let you hide an MP7 or shorter from both sides at the top and middle. Even the Glock is difficult to spot, but the knife will stick out since it widens your profile, even if it is shorter in length than the Glock. Moving up to the top of middle, I'm pleased to say that there aren't many corners that you can hide behind, which makes my job a lot easier. If stood in cubby, you can be armed with any weapon, even the AWP. However, your visibility is limited. An attacker can press himself against this wall and see you if stood where the flower pots are, but you won't be able to see him until he's right back here next to the ivy. Very interesting. No matter where you stand in this spot, attackers will be able to see you first. You have to rely on the element of surprise and probably a teammate or two if you want to stand a chance in this position. The other side has a nice little pillar and I've always wondered how best to stand here. You're best hidden if you're as close to the pillar as you can get. For once, looking into the corner actually makes it harder for you since enemies will be able to see your hands. Instead, stare directly into the pillar itself for maximum concealment. And don't use the AWP. It takes 4 hits to wallbang players through this spot anyway. Before we head to the site itself, let's look at alt mid. The Glock does a good job of keeping you almost completely hidden from anywhere along haystack unless the enemy has the sharpest eyesight ever and knows to look for you there. But that's always going to be the case. Your head is visible from people in window in apartments. Crouching hides you from them but makes you more visible from the street. Looking at the wall solves all problems. Just be careful since longer weapons can stick right through it. This location hides you from middle with anything shorter than the G3SG1. That being said, mid-lengthed weapons will still let enemies see you as they approach the corner. Aiming further into the wall will stop this from happening. You can see some recurring patterns with this advice, can't you? I don't know how to test positions in this room since it's complicated, so instead I'll just run and jump around in it, armed with an M4A1S for a while. There are a few spots that conceal you from parts of alt mid, but I believe it would be difficult to find a place that hides you from everywhere. Use at your own risk. In the dark bedroom, I'm only going to focus on this corner. It gives you corner advantage over enemies attacking the room and makes it so that your head and body is at a strange height. Memorise the head level for attackers and I believe you'll stand a decent chance in an otherwise fair duel. In this corner of Long Hall, attackers have the tiniest of advantages over people stood in this corner, though it is minimal and they will most likely be worried about people within the site itself. Just thought I'd mention this spot. It's not a corner as such, but you can see the advantage that somebody stood in arch has against attackers. If they stand too close to the near wall, you can spot their body sooner, but further away and the shadow can be seen. At Boiler is a great camping spot. If you stand forward, look into the corner and crouch. As CT you're almost invisible from people rushing quad, and as Ts, even more so. But this leaves you defenceless. If you stand close to doorway and aim at the door, you'll still be at a slight disadvantage against attackers, but it's doable. The length of the weapon doesn't matter too much at this angle. And now onto the site and all its thousands of angles. Standing here will allow you to see attackers, but they'll find it even easier to see you, especially if you're a CT with a bright white head. Unlike Bombsite B with its many tucked away corners, Bombsite A is a bit more of a free-for-all, which is why I'll be looking more at spots like these. The crate at the back has got me killed a few times as CT. You suffer from terrible visibility in this spot as terrorists can see you from almost anywhere else on the site, and can even headshot you when you can't return the favour. Crouching changes things. Suddenly, you're invisible from everywhere on the site, even if the other team jumps. You can even equip an AWP and it won't give away your position. Your only weakness is if attackers approach from far away, which gives them the corner advantage. Moving to this corner suddenly flips the situation. You're now hidden from everywhere you weren't before and are vulnerable from the previous spot's strong points. Anything longer than the M4A1S will be visible from around the corner, but if you try your best to hide away then you can't be seen from a number of locations. It's definitely got the potential to be a sneaky spot. If you were to use a smoke grenade, or had a friend in this corner as well, it could be a very effective defense. I mean, who expects 2 people in this area? I don't know what to call this place, so gay spot will have to do. It offers very good concealment from Bombsite A, even with an AWP. The downside is that you're vulnerable from archway regardless of where you stand. I've always wondered how effective this pixel walk spot on crates is, and the answer is... Stand too close to apartments and your body is on show, but you have a bit longer to shoot crossing enemies. On the other hand, if you stand at the very far corner, your body is protected and you can hide your head by crouching, but you leave yourself vulnerable from players who push. But remember that those people will have other spots to worry about as well. If crouched in this stupid little raised corner behind the stupid buggy truck, you get the upper hand, but are easily visible and can't see enemies who have already crossed to quad. Not the best position. If you stand on the ground just behind the spot, then you only have the tiniest window of opportunity to pick attackers, but you're close to invisible unless the enemies know what they're looking for. Crouch behind the truck camouflages the CT skin to some extent and gives you enough time to fire at attackers. It's not a very common spot when compared with pit, but may have its merits. I found it. The perfect place on these steps. Line yourself up like so, crouch down, and you'll be next to invisible from all entrances. If you stand up, only the top of your head shows and you're able to shoot people from everywhere. It's a pretty nice spot to learn. Do it wrong and it can ruin many potentially memorable rounds. I'll briefly cover 2 spots in library. The first is behind this chair and offers a reasonably balanced fight with attackers from CT spawn, though they'll have the advantage if they stick to the far wall. The second location is to the right of this doorway. Your weak spot is when enemies approach from the outside wall, as they'll see almost your entire body before you can spot them. If you're here with an M4A1, remove the suppressor and you're just about hidden from outside of the building. Any weapon below that length will also be okay. Here's a seldom used spot. From most angles, you're well hidden from this sneaky corner, but if attackers approach from apartments or the right side of quad, then you stand out like a sore thumb. Don't worry, there's a smoke that you can deploy that will protect you from both spots. I believe that this position summarizes this entire video nicely. It looks good on paper and may help to win some otherwise lost rounds, but isn't a reliable strategy for most of CSGO. You ideally want to choose positions that allow for you to retreat, or that allow you to use your current weapon effectively. With good teammates or bad opponents, these cheap positions may help, but ultimately your success in CSGO has to rely on your ability and teamwork. But I hope this video has been interesting and that the spots mentioned may help to increase your repertoire of positions and to help give you the edge over the other team. Have fun!